Well, welcome once again to the NCG Studios, Texas. We're glad to be here today. I'm glad to have my son Stephen with me. We kind of switch around from time to time and try to give a little variety. I've always heard that variety is the spice of life. So what do you think?
Sure. I can be spicy.
Oh, okay. Life is spicy, isn't it? No, actually, today I was noticing a couple of things. We still call our show What Would Love Do? I still like that because whether we call our show by that name or not, I think it's a very necessary thing to know that. I mean, if we can learn what love would do in every situation, I think we would be going the right direction, to say the least. And today's show, we want to talk about something that I think is so directly related to that. I want to read something that I see on the screen right now. It talks about the place, which is, this is the place, as Dr. Jones says, for intellectual, biblical, spiritual honesty. The place for that. The place where our goal is to discover that and to continue to discover, that as we learn and as we grow together. But there's a statement that I want to read. It says, broadcasting live for 12 hours every Sunday. So let's get the conversation rocking with the kind of love that ... And today we're fortunate enough to have a special guest by the name of Dr. Michael Jones, and looking forward to having him on there. I thought I'd talk a little bit, kill a little time, give his voice a rest. He so much in demand these days, as well he should be, that a lot of times on Sundays, by the end of the day, he doesn't have much voice left. So, but I'm not going to hesitate. But let me see if I can just introduce him by finishing that statement for the time being, with the kind of love that causes atheists and theists alike to come together, sit down at the table, and have wonderful conversation. And, when I think about that, and I realize that there's love on both sides, love is not exclusive to those who call themselves theists. It's just as much in the atheist as it is in the theist. And when we can identify that in one another and come together and enjoy one another as a result, I think we're getting somewhere. And so with that, I will introduce Dr. Jones. Are you there?
I believe so. I'm not certain yet.
You got to be there. I mean, you got to be here because you're not all there. No, wait a minute. That don't work.
Well,
it's good to have you with us today, and
well, thank you.
Looking forward to what you have to say.
Well, thank you. I wanted to talk about a couple of things, if possible.
Sure. Talk on. We watched a wonderful video this morning. I understand you wanted to talk about that and possibly show the clip again. So,
well, I have something that I want to preface it with. Last night I wrote just something brief and put it on our Facebook wall. And many times what you do is you get a sense of where people are when you're simply making a comment or two. It was really shocking in a sense that we did receive the kind of reaction that we did. We received a lot of likes, but we received one comment, well, actually several comments from some viewers, but one in particular really stood out like a sore thumb. And I want to read the OP, that is the original post, and then we will chat about this for a moment. I wrote, "There is something inside of atheist and theist alike that cries out for a better tomorrow. So let's put the past behind us and move forward together." Now, I thought that was good because, in my opinion, if atheist and theist alike can, come together and do something meaningful, like look at the same evidence, like have conversations, like generate enough interest in having meaningful community for the sake of feeding people, doing things like that, I really thought that would be good. But
Yeah.
this one individual who is a universalist and will remain anonymous, and I'm not talking about a Catholic, I'm not talking about a Protestant, I'm talking about a universalist. This person said, "Together towards what?" And so that troubled me. I had no idea that universalists were not, really wanting a conversation, quote unquote, with atheists. And I thought that it was sad. And so this person kept writing, "Most of the atheists that I've met ridicule our, quote unquote, belief with scorn." And they go on to state that I've met some atheists who are friendly, but they meet belief, quote unquote, with hostility. And so I think that it really bothers not just Protestants and Catholics that people are atheists, but I think that it even bothers universalists, those people who claim that they are all-inclusive. And so I simply wrote back. I said, "My wife and I spent the better part of about 4 days, not 4 days, about 4 hours on the side of the road supporting one of our fallen troops. And please understand the reason that we were out there, we knew that Westboro Baptist Church possibly might be there, and we had several other conscientious people like crew member and also Sean the atheist. He was out there, and we were on the side of the road waiting for something to happen. We were getting all kinds of crazy reports about these people who wanted to tell everyone that they were going to hell and the judgment of God was against them. However, it was more important to all of us that the family members know how much we love them, number one, and number two, their son. And so we were there simply to support the troops, and I kept making comments like this, that we spent the better part of the day with atheists and theists alike, and some of them were gay, some of them were not. They were just all over the field in a sense. But you really couldn't beat their integrity for the most part. We're talking about wonderful people. For instance, Sean, he comes to the studio. He works all the time. And I want to demonstrate what he does. It's not like someone's trying to talk him into doing these wonderful things, but he just does. And his YouTube site is wonderful. It has lots of scientific arguments for X, Y, and Z. It's a place to go to where you can really enjoy good rhetoric. It's not a place where you get bashed, but it's a place where you can find meaningful discussion about science, about God, about questions in life. And so with that said, I would like for them, that is, for those guys back in the control room, to actually play this video clip. Let's talk about it for a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Well, they told me it was locked up, but I looked to the side and I have this new drink. It's supposedly lemonade with tea, but a fly got next to it, and I think that he's staggering all over my time clock table.
Uh-oh.
And so I don't know why this is so intoxicating, but maybe he can live. Oh, by the way, the cat that my wife, we had 2 cats that we tried to rescue last week, and we were successful at rescuing one. And the video clip, I think, is ready now. Let's play that.
Doesn't like distance. It doesn't say.
Let's start it over so we can
need to be over there. And theists
have
need
it
to
from
be
the beginning. Are we going to be able to get that clip up soon? Sometimes our crew has a difficult time finding the play button on a computer, and we have new computers, and it's strange. This is a very difficult life to play a simple video like a YouTube video.
Love doesn't say.
Let's start from the beginning.
We need to have separate orders in a sense.
Okay, I think they're having problems with sound and video, and well, I was hoping to play that, Darryl. Let's go on to some more comments here. Okay, we're going to give it one more try, and then Sean the Sean, that is his video, we'll have to see why it's messing up our computers.
Love doesn't like distance. It doesn't say atheists need to be over there and theists need to be over here. Love doesn't say I need to be separated. We need to have separate quarters in a sense. That is, as human beings. But love says about humanity, it says all human beings need to be together. We need to be as one. I want atheists to come my way so that I can give them an ear. They deserve to speak. They deserve to be listened to. They deserve my love. They deserve my protection. They deserve my support. They deserve everything that I can give them in a wonderful context. So if you're claiming that you so love me, or you so love us, or you so love the New Covenant group, or you so love atheists or theists, find a reason to draw closer to them, and in time we will become one.
Okay, Darryl, what are your thoughts? Stephen, what are your thoughts on this video?
Well, I'm sitting here having actually a lot of thoughts, and I guess I'll start with this. I feel like I somewhat have an advantage, and that advantage comes from experience. When I can feel like I can make certain statements not because of observation or because this is what I think, but it comes more from experience. And I've said all this to say this, that I'm thankful at this point to have been made aware of a lot of what I've been involved in the past. And at the same time, at times I feel shame for what I represented, because when I think about atheists and theists actually coming together and just opening up and sharing with one another, I can't help but think that the advantage there should be, especially by profession, it should be in the court of the theist. Because, and especially if you want to talk about a Protestant or a Catholic, someone who claims to believe in Christ and to be a follower of Christ. Because, you know, what should happen, or what should be happening, is actually a demonstration of the very character of God toward others in a winning aspect. I mean, the goal of the theist should be to try to reach out to the atheist and say, you know, there is a God, and let me show him to you. Let me demonstrate him to you by the very way that I am, the way that I love, the way that I present myself to one that I care about, and so on and so forth. But sad to say, it seems like what we've seen is more the other way around. It seems as though, and I can understand to a degree possibly the response of the one that you were referring to earlier that said that, you know, get together for what? And apparently they had maybe experienced some hostility from a certain atheist, or maybe certain atheists. But at the same time, I can understand that hostility because of you know, the way atheists are mostly viewed by theists and the way they're treated. You know, for quite possibly for a theist, just to be kind and approachable by an atheist is probably a breath of fresh air to an atheist. But I think it's wonderful that the ball is rolling, and to me this is a phenomenon, and yet it shouldn't be that people, no matter what their beliefs, can come together and be rational and be kind and be loving. But it is wonderful to know.
Right. Stephen, what are your thoughts?
One thing that keeps coming to mind, I recently took a tour of one of the larger churches here in town, and it's been here for probably at least 150 years. It's seen the time of slavery and the mistreatment of women. And I was shown some of the areas that, men were allowed to walk into the front door, but there was a side door for women to enter. And then there was, I believe there was some sort of tower or something that the slaves were allowed to climb and sit in, or something, that were able to participate. And I thought, for one, why would you give that kind of history on, especially if you claim that you're not there today? But, you know, there are all these places for, even back in the day when women were viewed lower than men and slaves were pretty much dirt. I mean, there was a place for them, but there was no place for an atheist. They're just automatically hated. They're placed lower than even the racial side of things back in those days. And I'm encouraged by that video just to see that how far at least we've come, and hopefully many more people are going to give atheists a voice. Because I haven't really heard an invalid question yet since I've been involved with them, and I'm excited about that.
You know, it's strange that you would confess to going into a church where they were demonstrating to you their history, that is, of the abuse of women and also the races. You know, my question is, if a system moves so slow that it takes them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to admit that modern slavery, for instance, they have to admit that that's wrong. They never have. No church to date has admitted that ancient slavery was wrong. And so that's the disingenuous mindset of the church. And when it comes to the treatment of women, that same church that you went in, I would bet every penny that comes to the New Covenant group that they still embrace a biblical marriage, because their concepts, their teachings are going to be based upon biblical principles and morals. And I would bet that they would advocate that kind of, let me call it what it is, it's trash. And so I guess my question or point is, if you visit the state of Texas, you can't become elected, and that's where you guys live. You can't become elected dog catcher if you're an atheist, and it's because of the religious bias. And so why are so many people still left in church? And why are people not leaving the church? I mean, why are people so prone to support it in various ways? People support it indirectly, directly, etc. I mean, why can't people leave that evil bitch?
Well, I think I saw a good example of it today, flipping around on the TV channel, probably the largest, at least one of the largest Christian networks on TV, promoting the Bible as still valid today for today's problems and so on and so forth. And, if as long as people, whether you want to call it, or whether it is an entity called the church or individuals, or if you want to change the name of it, as long as they're clinging to an ancient document that's outdated, that is full of conflict and so forth, then the problem will continue. People will continue to hold to those ideas, even though, sad to say, if you went into the average home today, it doesn't really matter what one would claim their beliefs are, or the vows they took. I don't even really think that most marriages even work that way. And so they're trying to prop something up that obviously is not working and hasn't worked.
I would agree with you. I want to hear from Stephen concerning my comment.
He was asking you. I'm sorry, I answered your question.
The reason that I'm targeting you in terms of this issue of the church, for instance, let me read something that Bob Graves wrote. He said, "It was honesty on my part in verifying some of the things atheists were saying that brought me to the point of realizing that so much of what traditional Christianity claims is a verifiable lie." And he goes on to brag about atheists. If it were not for atheists, he would not be at this place of intellectual honesty, spiritual honesty, and scriptural honesty that he's at. And so my question would be, if you're in a state so heavily influenced and intoxicated by religion, and we're not talking about small-time problems that the church has created. We're talking about subjugating people. We're talking about the subjugation still of gays. We met with gays yesterday at the Gay Pride event, and these people have been put down, and this is in 2013, and it reminded me in a sense of people who have been beat down just like slaves, in a sense, put to the side and made fun of. And there were preachers out there preaching, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. They were there just before we got there. During the parade yesterday, Westboro Baptist Church didn't show up, but there were Baptist preachers on the corners. In one particular corner, not far from here, he was preaching hellfire and brimstone on a day in which this family is grieving over their loss, their son. He was a fantastic musician, and I guess my point is, when can we ever expect for people, especially young people, to make moves out of church and do it quickly? I mean, I don't understand what the problem is in terms of walking completely away from it.
Well, I think that's one of the keys there is young. You brought that up. I think age does play a big part in it. One thing that I've noticed, especially in the church that I just visited, and I didn't even visit during a service hour, I was just taking a tour of it, but I know a lot of the people that go there. And the younger crowd, at least they don't live the way the church would require them, even in marriage. I mean, some of at least 3 of the couples that I know that go there are seemingly equal in their marriage. But the older couples that I know that go there are very traditional and very by the book, and I think would be very willing to kick somebody out if things didn't go a certain way. But they just don't seem to give anybody the time of day. They wouldn't give an atheist a voice if one were to show up and say, I had a question, or I have a challenge for you. It's another one of the reasons I'm thankful for this, because they're given a voice, and they're able to challenge the old religion. And I think it definitely needs to be challenged. It's just, are people willing to take that challenge?
I don't know how to defend many things, and one of the things that really disturbs me, for instance, I was looking around on several groups that we are members of, and one of the admins of a Universalist group, the one where I met Greg Bray, our resident biologist who is an atheist. And when I met him there, that is through just conversation, he was thrown out of that group. Now, this is a very large and very wide open Universalist group. But he was asking extremely brilliant questions, and he was actually thrown out. And that's how our relationship with Greg Bray started. And so that hurt me, and I took many people there to task over it. I stayed there as a member, that is, to keep the message going. But I recently looked at some of the things that were going on there, and I went to a person who used to applaud some of the things that we were saying, and I found out that one of the admins of that particular group had unfriended us. And I said, wow. I said, here is a major player in a Universalist movement, and he has a lot of clout, and he unfriended us. And I keep asking myself the question, have I walked far enough away from the church? In other words, people in church life have unfriended us, and even people who are a part of us, in a sense, are playing both sides of the coin. It's like, yeah, we love what you're doing, but we're not going to say anything on your site. We're not going to hit the like button. We're not going to do any of those things, because once we do, our friends are not going to like it. And we've lost a lot of friends simply over taking the position of loving everyone, embracing homosexuals, embracing everyone, Muslims. In fact, yesterday we were getting footage from Muslims, and you should hear what they had to say. Most people in Christianity would probably get sick over what they were saying, because they were simply talking this message of love. And so I guess my point is, when do we draw a line in the ground and say, listen, I want to stop the nonsense in my life, and I do want to become a person who is committed to the honesty and community. I mean, if we don't have honesty and community, we're not going to have honesty in our politics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so, and I don't want you guys to get quiet on me, but it's, I can't tell you how much it means to everyone who is on the front line of this fight. And it is a fight. You get hell, you get threats. We had 13 rattlesnakes thrown out front. That's not fun. We've had our building almost burned down simply because some Baptist wanted to tell everybody that, people are going to hell. We've had all kinds of things like that happen. And so my question would be, what stops people from jumping into a boat that's somewhat sane and sailing away from that which is bad and harmful?
Well, I think that, or is this to Stephen?
Yeah, I was asking Stephen because I'm wanting to pick apart his mind because, he's young. Darryl, you're old like me, and I would really like to understand why young people, in a sense, they seem to run towards things that, some of us who are a little bit older in years are saying, hey, these things are wrong. They're harming everyone. And it seems like our children and our children's children have the propensity to run back to that which is, for the lack of a better word, the thing that crippled us all.
And at least in my circles, most of the younger people, and I say young people as in my age and younger, I don't see much interest in things, and those that are slightly interested are skeptical. I do think that they're beginning to see a lot of the nonsense in, the religion that's been taught for ages.
But let me stop you real quick. When you say skeptical, do you mean skeptical about the church or just skeptical about, intellectual honesty?
Skeptical about everything, about church, about New Covenant group, about anything, and I think that just causes a lack of interest. They're just not interested to hear any of it.
So you're suggesting that young people these days are simply skeptical about any kind of sense of community?
Well, not any kind of sense of community, but anything that revolves around something that's seemingly religious, possibly.
Yeah, I can understand avoiding the appearance of evil, or better put, the appearance of religion or church. I can understand that, and I can applaud that. Well put. By the way, I applaud you. My wife and I do. We thought, what you did this morning to form that wonderful sense of community by you and your wife preparing all that food. That is a marvelous, wonderful breakfast. Can you tell us about what you guys prepared?
Well, we cooked French toast, homemade waffles, eggs, bacon, and my sister brought fruit, all different kinds of fruit, and my mom brought milk and juice and coffee, and I can't remember what all we had, but it was quite a breakfast feast. And we ended up with quite a few people. So.
Wow. A lot of people are calling and asking, how do we form community that is where we live? They may live in the Netherlands or parts of India, Africa. I've got a gentleman that I need to talk with tomorrow. He's from South Africa, and then later on in the day, someone just north of that, and on and on and on, because we have so many people wanting to form community. Do you have any suggestions of how to form a meaningful community with atheists and theists alike, both young and old? How can you do that successfully?
What I did, and I didn't even put as much effort as I could have into this morning. But I have kind of racked my brain. How do we bring about a sense of community on a Sunday morning when typically, if you're a Christian, you get up and you go to church, and invite people for a meal, but try to not make it seem like just that same old religious invitation.
Right.
Come eat, come hear my message, whatever. So basically what I did is just those that I invited, and I told them, invite your friends, whoever you might know, just anybody's welcome. We're just going to be feeding people. We're going to do this at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. We will be watching the New Covenant group at 11. You're welcome to stay for that or not.
That's wonderful.
I didn't want to make it sound like this is your enticement to come to church. And I even had response from a couple saying, well, I would feel bad coming to eat and not stay for whatever you guys do after. And I said, well, it's not a problem. That's not why we're doing this. We just want
There you go.
people in the community to know that we're here, that we love you, and we want to communicate with you.
I was trying to find some atheists near where you guys live, and I found several humanist movements and groups of atheists. They're pocketed, but they are south and also, I think, northwest of you guys. And so we are in contact with them, and they are coming your way. Question. What is it going to feel like, not for those who know what the New Covenant group is about, but those people in your community, and I'm talking about the overall community, to see atheists and, let's say, these different kinds of people getting involved in the conversation? What is that going to do? Just prophesy, Stephen.
For certain ones, I'm sure they're going to get really upset, but I know the more I open up and talk about things with people, the more I realize how many people are actually beat down by church and are still trapped in it. They still go. And I asked this one lady that actually works for me. She agreed with everything I had to say about feeling trapped, about feeling beat down and having no self-worth. I asked, why do you still go back to that? And she said, that's just how I was raised. And she's still currently involved, and she won't really get involved with us, but she sees the benefit of it. She'll make comments, oh, I just love that. She follows on Facebook some of the things, and she'll say how much she can appreciate it, and she just won't let go of the old. And I don't know what else to do or say to get her to let go.
One of the things that was really strange yesterday at this gay pride rally, this person got up behind the microphone and started singing Jesus Loves Me. And I said, I do like the first part of that song, Jesus Loves Me. But when it comes to For the Bible Tells Me So, when most people read the Bible, it's not so much, wow, love sticks out like, that's the best message in the book. Most of the time when people read the Bible, they come away with a conclusion. This is really about heaven and hell. It's about where I will spend eternity. It's about this God of judgment, etc. How many people are willing to leave the Bible, that is, in your community, the people you are surrounded with on a daily basis, Stephen and Darryl? Can you both answer that?
I think we can count them here in this group, just about.
Not many. I'll say the ones that are Bible followers are very unwilling to let go. Some that claim to be Christian but aren't really actively Christian, they don't have as much problem with me saying, I don't really trust everything that's in the Bible. And so there's some acceptance of it, but like I said, those true churchgoers, they're not willing.
Darryl, why are so many people using the Bible as their final authority? What's up with that? It's like their Bible thinks for them.
Well, I don't think that happened overnight. I think it's something that's been, well, to go back to a statement that you made or something that you were referring to, I think you're right that when people open their Bibles, the thing that jumps out at them isn't love. It isn't an unconditional acceptance. Um, a a person doesn't come away with the realization, God loves us all the same and just wants us to enjoy what He's given us and to learn to love one another the same way He loves us. Even though really, I think that was the central theme of the message of Jesus. But that's not what people have learned from their Bibles. That's not what they've been taught. That's not even what you read for the most part. It's more of a thing of fear. It's more of a thing of threat. And I don't know that it could be put any better than actually Paul put it when he was talking to the Galatians. Who has bewitched you? I think people are bewitched there, and you used the term trapped. It reminds me of the and this may not be the right way to put it, but the battered wife syndrome. The wife that just keeps going back for more beatings as she's trapped in her mind more than anything else. And I think a lot of people don't even realize how beat down they are. So there's a number of contributing factors, and to me it just presents a challenge to those of us who have actually come to realize what we've been involved in, and we've come away from it, at least hopefully for the most part, and have the patience to just hang with them and just keep saying, hey, there's something better, there's something better. Let us show it to you. Let us demonstrate.
Yesterday I was possibly taught several lessons. I learned much. One thing that I learned was you can go to a group of people who are beat down and you can tell them, hey, we love you unconditionally and we accept you unconditionally. But these people will simply say, those are just words. Mm-hmm. And when we told them, hey, we're here to videotape you, we're here to put you on our show, we're here to support you, we're here to buy your goods. We're here to, in fact, my wife, she was standing there. She said, let's get some cupcakes. And we did. And we love to eat cupcakes and everything else that follows. But my point is, it was when we started supporting them in that sense, saying, yeah, we're going to put our money invested. We're going to be here, not just when we're taking pictures, but we're going to enjoy the music and have conversation and not be just there for an agenda. In other words, we're here to support. And I think that it's sad, we can say, oh, I accept my children, but until our kids are supported by us and know that we will be there for them at all times, I really don't think they buy into the doctrine or the concept of unconditional acceptance. And so I think we're just about out of time, but I wanted Stephen to speak to that first and then you second. Talk about this acceptance. Do you agree with what I just said, Stephen?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's extremely, extremely important for your children to feel accepted, no matter how they turn out. I don't know. I've actually been approached with this question recently concerning homosexuality. I don't really know that much about the biology of the body that makes a person like a certain gender or not, or I don't know the laws of attraction, but however they work, and however they're going to work in my children, I've just decided that I'm going to accept them because I love them too much to not accept them. And I can't imagine them not feeling that acceptance from me, that they can't come to me and talk to me about any issues that they may be having as they grow. I don't know. I just think it's extremely important for that acceptance to be there, no matter what. There's nothing wrong with that child, maybe some confusion, but that's what you're there for, is to help them through it.
Right. Darryl.
Well, I was thinking in reference to the question that you had asked him earlier. When you talk about unconditional acceptance, unconditional love, and actually showing that to people, for one thing, as you've already pointed out, it is dangerous. You will get threatened. Anytime you embrace those who, and I don't even like to categorize people anymore, but embrace those who others say shouldn't be embraced. That obviously people get not just want to befriend you, but they want to do worse at times. You've got zealots that want to burn your building down and things of this nature. This is an area that few of us, I would say, have ever been in, and it can be scary at first, but then also it causes a person to have to really look inside and say, is that really who I am? Do I want this responsibility of embracing people that might require something of me? Because I think Jesus put it best when he said, it's basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it's easy to love those who love you.
Right, right.
But when you reach out and embrace, quote unquote, your enemy, you're opening a new can of worms. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm saying, let's go. Let's and I feel like it's new territory for me. I'm still learning. I want to do this, and I'm not sure how at times. But I'm ready to go there. It's got to happen, and I want to be a part of it. I don't want to miss out.
Let me make a final statement. I looked into some things that are going on in the particular community that you're in, that is in the surrounding 40 to 50 mile area, and I found out that some people are being actually let go. Might be a soft term for actually being fired from a teaching position at a school for being an atheist, and also for being gay. Things like that are happening still in your community. My question would be, if we brought those particular people on our show, how many people there do you think would support those people? Because they've lost their livelihoods. I mean, it would be like someone coming by and saying, "Hey, Darryl, you can't paint any longer," and just stopping the finances. I mean, people don't know what that feels like until it's done to them, and that's very tragic. And so, do you think that people would come to support them if they knew anything about it?
I would like to find out that there are some that would. I can't guarantee anything, but I would love to think that there would be those who would. I can relate something along that line when you mentioned the possibility of someone coming and saying, "Darryl, you can't paint anymore." We actually had some of my crew members, it's been a few years ago actually, that when we started talking about there not being a hell, some of my crew got nervous. Well, we've got to keep this quiet. We can't go out and talk about this or we won't get any work. People
Right.
around here religious, they're going to say, "No, we don't want you painting in our house if you don't believe in hell." And we've been pretty vocal about this. It's not like we've tried to keep it quiet. And now I have more work than I've ever had. And so, it gives me hope. I think I'm kind of like Michael. I wish I could think of his last name, that will be on the show tonight. I'm sure comes to the studio there
Fulford.
all the time. I think people are basically good. And that's quite a change of mind for me.
Right.
And we want to continue to appeal to the good in people.
Stephen, tell me real quick, we have less than 15 seconds. How can we get you to come to Pensacola with your wife, your family, and all of the people who work for you there at that wonderful restaurant come down here and present something as wonderful as you guys did this morning.
I would love to do that ASAP.
That's good. Hey, thank you guys for allowing me to be on your show. I enjoyed it. I did not mean to control it. If I did, I will do penance of some sort. Hey, you guys have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Appreciate you. And if we're still on, we want to say goodbye from Texas and enjoy the rest of the shows today.